Hello everybody. This is a very important video that I'm going to make right now about how to analyze your multi-blind attempts. In my opinion, this is the number one important thing in getting better at multi. Um, and if you think about something like FMC solvers, they usually spend, I think I would guess, like at least half an hour after every attempt trying to look at what they missed and how they could have done the solution better. And it's sort of the same thing in multi where you want to extract as much information out of the attempt so you can use that on future attempts. Um, and so I will show you my process of doing this from start to finish. So the first thing I do before an attempt is I will um, open up CS Timer to generate scrambles. So I mean, I already did my attempt that we're going to analyze in this video, but for example, we're going to go here, Tools, Scramble Generator. We're going to make sure that this is on 3-blind, and I'm going to generate however many scrambles I'm doing for the attempt, and actually I'm going to take off this prefix. We're going to see why afterwards. And this is so that, first of all, obviously we need to scramble our cubes, but also so we can analyze using the scrambles after. And this is only something I've recently started doing actually is using the scrambles to analyze. Before I'd kind of just figure out, but this makes the process much faster. So this is what we're going to do. Copy this. We're going to go to Google Doc and paste it into a just a doc like this. And you don't have to use Google Docs either. You can use just any whatever text processing software. It's just easy for this because sometimes I scramble on my laptop, then I can just come on my computer and copy this in and analyze scramble. So this is what I do. Scrambling from this is a bit of a headache. It's pretty much guaranteed to give you duplicates. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I mean, we already have it on our clipboard, but you copy it, and then we're going to go, we have the scrambles, go into input, paste that in. And then what we've just done is input the scrambles so that we can have them one by one. And I like doing this because it almost guarantees no duplicates unless you're doing something stupid. And so what I'll do with every single cube, scramble it. So let's say I have a cube now, I'll scramble it. I'm going to start a timer and then move on to the next one, scramble like this, and go all the way down until we reach the amount of cubes. One thing that is a good idea to do, usually I don't scramble on my PC, that's why I don't have this setting, but you could put this setting, this timer, keep time of keeping space down 0 so that you can just go through really quickly without any delay. And one more thing, I guess, why not mention it, is that whatever I'm scrambling, usually I scramble in rows of 8. And so after I reach the end of each row, I'll just make sure I have done that many scrambles. And this is, in my opinion, this has saved me from a bunch of duplicates. So that's what I do with scramble attempt. Next thing I'm going to do, we're going to keep this open for a while. Okay, next thing, decide what palace I'm going to use. That seems like an obvious thing, but things I want to keep in mind is just like how long ago you've done the attempt. The last attempt in that palace, if it's less than like 3 days, ooh, that may not be the best thing because you may start mixing up pairs in your rooms that from previous attempts. Anyway, decide on palace. Now we're going to go do the attempt. You must film the attempt to analyze it. There's no such thing as analyzing an attempt without filming it. So I just on my attempt, I was actually live streamed, and it was a 51 out of 60 in 61 minutes 35 seconds. One thing, I gave myself 61 minutes because I spent 35 seconds during memo fixing an issue with my iPad with the timer, but we're going to analyze it like that didn't happen just for the sake of simplicity. So after, you want to get the video just in some sort of software where you can go through and kind of scroll through the video. So if I'm not live streaming, I'll always do this on my phone. And then on my phone, I can open up like the Photos app and just go through, scroll through. And what we want to do is we're going to be checking splits and also DNFs. So I actually will open this up on my computer in MBLD. It really doesn't matter what you use. So Now we have all this going. I would say next thing I'm going to do is have this program ready. This is fantastic. Um, Basically, you just put in your blind orientation, what orientation you scramble from, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these scrambles that we pasted previously and enter them into here. In my experience, I've had problems when there's like, for example, like a 1 like this before all the scrambles. And so that's why in CS Timer I took off the prefix. It's supposed to work though, but it's just such a easy fix that I do that. So now we have all the 60 scrambles in this system, and I'll show you an example of how great this is. Let's say I want to get this cube here. So I just look for basically 2 colors or 3 colors that I can remember. So we see in UL there's white, UF there's white. So I'm just gonna put UL, UF. Already that narrows it down to 2, and I'll just put in this LUF spot. Oh, that's actually okay. Usually only need 2, 3, very rarely 4 colors to determine exactly what scramble it is. And if you do the scramble, it'll give you. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. It'll show you basically exactly what cube it is. There will be the off chance where you're going to miss-scramble something and you won't catch it, and that's probably fine because the chance that you miss-scramble and that you DNF that cube is so low that probably won't have issues. So this program is great. And then, so this helps us analyzing why we DNF cubes. Another thing we're going to do, we're going to go into Google Sheets. I will hopefully have some sort of template for you guys. I still haven't made it, but that you can use for splits. And splits are used a lot in speedrunning to see what parts you're good at, what parts you're bad at. And this is why it's so important to use splits in multi as well, because you can know exactly where you need to improve time-wise. And in multi, it's always about improving time and improving accuracy. And those are like the 2 main things. So I will try to make a template, also link the Scramble Finder, and I don't think you guys need a link for Google Docs. Let's assume that. So anyway, this is not the attempt. This is an attempt from a while ago. What I'll go ahead and do is clear everything in terms of input. Okay, I don't know why this is here. Oh, sorry, this is my 50. This is my 50. Okay, I'm going to go to the 60. Basically how this works is I have a bunch of goal splits set up, which is times I want to reach to be able to sub-hour this amount of cubes. And I've determined this all ahead of time based on other people, like Ro mostly, his splits. I try to see, okay, what do I need compared to him to do this many cubes? And I try to have it sub-hour. Here it's right on the hour, which I'm pretty lucky about, but I try to do that so that I can have a reference point for every single split. This is the way I line it up. I'll group memo reviews into one thing because I don't find having memo and then review as 2 separate splits that meaningful. So it's mostly each 10 pack and then each big review, and at the end any small amount of cubes, like here I did a 9 pack, that I will just time the entire memo review, and that's because I can compare it to if I do just a 10 cube attempt in isolation for practice, I can compare my times to that in terms of what I need to memo. So what I'm going to start by doing is just finding the beginning of the attempt. So it's around here. Okay. So I have a timer on screen, which is very useful because I can just look at the timer for the splits. Sometimes, I don't know, the timer won't work. You want to use a stopwatch at home, whatever. That's fine. What you can do is go look at the time that the attempt starts and put it in this offset. And so let's say you have an offset of 30 seconds. Sorry. So you have offset of 30 seconds or something. The calculation will all be done based on an offset, so you can look at the time here instead. But I don't have this offset because I have this timer here. Now, before we get into the analysis, is a quick tutorial on entering times in Google Sheets. This is extremely annoying. I don't know why it's like this. Maybe somebody has a solution, but you always have to type in hour, minute, second. So that would be 30 minutes, 35 seconds. So even if you want to type in 15 seconds, I have to type in like this. And that can get really annoying sometimes. So the attempt starts. The first split I'm trying to get is this memo review 1 to 10. So I'm going to skip ahead to about where that is. So what I'm looking for here is when the cube touches the mat. Precision in this case isn't that important, but I just like to be consistent. So here it's like 322, and I'll always just round it to whatever. So 322, that's actually a pretty good first split for me. So I'm going to go type that in, 322. Now we have this first split calculated. I mean, that's not magic. And we can see here that we're 8 seconds ahead of pace, which is pretty great. As you can see on the stream, I really wanted to have 330 memo reviews for everything. I haven't analyzed the attempt yet, so we'll see what happens. Now I'm going to skip ahead to about, I guess, 7 minutes, because that should be when my next one is ending. And it looks like this memo review is quite slower. I think I had some issues. So here we go, 7:03. So we're going to type that in. And then if you're doing this by hand, you have to do time subtraction, which is so annoying because of how there's like 60 seconds and it's not decimal in any way. So I like to automate the process. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for the next split. On the phone, it's a lot easier to just swipe through, but this isn't that bad too. So 10:52, that's the next split. And that's again behind pace. So I'm kind of annoyed now because that was my whole plan for today, was to get 330 memo reviews, but I didn't. Anyway, let's say that review ended at 17:35. And so actually that was on pace, so it's good. Now we're gonna go to about, let's say, back over here. So that's 22:53. Wow, I spread through that. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone that fast. And these are things you should be thinking about. Like, why were you on pace? Why are you not on pace? I think here I really rushed it just because I was like, oh, 60 cubes, that's a lot of cubes. I have to get through this quick. So I know that next time I should probably chill out on that last pass. Stuff was feeling strong, but it could have been a lot stronger had I just chilled out. So 2 takeaways so far is that I have to obviously go faster on those memo reviews and chill out a bit on the last review. So we're going to check out this split here. These I always slow down on. These are always around like 4 minutes, 20 seconds for no reason. And so today I was really wanted to that not to happen. So we'll see if that happened. 49. So that's actually pretty good progress. I know sub 4, I'll take it because in the past, I think my reviews have been a bit slower than that. What's cool is, I will get to this later, but if you keep track of this, you can go compare your splits in the past. So yeah, as you see, my attempt yesterday, this was on a new palace, but still, my memo reviews of these later packs wasn't as good. Yeah, here like 425, 406. And so I know that I need to speed it up a bit more. I did do that today, but still not as quick as I want it to be. And I think a lot of these were like, yeah, the reason I don't analyze some of these is either like it was official and the camera angle sucked, or it's just terrible DNF and analyzing wouldn't help anyway. So we're going to go back to the analysis tab and check out the next split. So 30, 37. And there we go, another sub 4. So that's 3 takeaways so far, like we talked about. I have to speed up the memo reviews a bit. At the initial ones, uh, my second review can be a bit chiller, and I am making improvements on this 20-pack memo reviewing. All right, or 2 10-packs, medium term, let's call it. All right, so I'm pretty happy about that. So this next thing, last attempt, this was very slow, this final review, because I'm 3-passing it, and so I really get in my head. I'm like, you have to remember this, you have to remember this, and sometimes I take it way too slow, and that screws up everything. But honestly, this doesn't look too bad compared to the splits. So that's like a 56, and that's pretty good. We're 4 seconds behind overall pace, and so that's like pretty much right on time, right what I would want. That review is really good pace, and I think I ended up remembering almost all of it. We'll see in the DNF section, but yeah, not bad. So this next pack, it's always hard because if I'm changing the number of cubes, it's not really a constant thing to keep track of. So I know that I just want to go for like usually around 5 minutes. Here, this is 40:58, and that's again right on pace. So I'm honestly pretty happy with the pace of this, and through this analysis, we see what things I need to improve on and what things I need to um, improve memo-wise. And that's sort of the first part of analyzing, in my opinion, is these memo splits, because you really know where you need to go faster, where you need to chill out a bit. So it's perfect. So I'm going to enter this. As soon as I do the first turn, that's the split. That's the total memo split. And the reason this is because I consider putting on the harmonic holder everything to be part of the memo of the last cube. I guess similarly to how like donning the blindfold is part of memo in 3 blind. I don't know, it's kind of stupid. But anyway, so now with exec, it's pretty much a similar idea. You just want to time the different splits. And this brings in info on where you may seem to forget cubes, if your short term is strong, if your long term is strong. So that was 41:37. It's nice to have a certain level of consistency with my 3 blind. Usually I can get it done in, say, like 14 seconds, This is 44, let's say 04. And that was a pretty good 9-pack. I am 10 for 10 so far. So sometimes what I thought about is writing down how many cubes in each pack I got, sort of like an accuracy score. But if I'm keeping track of DNFs, as we'll see, there's no really need for that, because you can just read off where you're doing well. What I'll do is skip ahead until I see a DNF. Here, I don't actually need to analyze the scramble, because I know exactly what happened. I just forgot the last 2 corners. So what I'll write down is I have, for each sort of sub palace, so these first 30 cubes are like sort of one area, and the next 20 cubes are completely something else. It's a video game map in this case. So I'll write down the code for that area. So this would be CL, and I'll do like 1.1. That means the first pack, first 10-pack, and the first cube. And here I have a code for what happened. So it's recall. And what happened was that I forgot last 2 corners. So a small note like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control Enter. And this way, if you just hit Enter, it's going to exit out of the cell. But if you hit Control Enter, you can actually write multiple lines in the same cell. We're going to do that. Now we're going to go ahead to the next DNF. Seems to be good so far here. Let me skip ahead a bit. Oh, I'm destroying this. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna try to find right before where that happened, and it looks like there's some corner issue. But what we're gonna do here is I'm actually gonna find the cube where that happened, stop it, and go into multi-line Scramble Finder. Try to find that scramble just based on a couple of colors. Looks like yellow is here, and then yeah, so this is scramble, and I'm gonna re-scramble it the same way I did in the correct orientation. And now you could check exactly what happened. So I'm looking at my memo, trying to remember where it was. Okay, it was in this specific room. And then usually you can figure out right away what happened. Here I'm a bit confused actually. Sometimes you can just look at the cube and say, "Oh, okay, like I thought it was this and it wasn't that." But here I'm not sure what I did, so I'll usually just try to go very slowly and see what happened. So edges were fine. Okay, so I did the first column correctly. I hesitated a bit. So this is actually an execution mistake. For some reason, I thought I did the inverse, and so I undid it, but undoing it ended up not doing anything to the cube. So I would label that a actually an exec mistake, and then I'll probably just put something like inverse here. And in terms of mistakes, recall is usually what I'm trying to improve. Exec is usually for me being an idiot, and if I'm really locked in, I probably won't make any exec mistakes. And so in a case like this, I'm going a bit autopilot. I don't care what's going on, but in an official attempt, obviously I'm paying much more attention. I don't know how obvious that is, but here, you know, at home attempts, you have less on the line, so you're more likely to make careless mistakes. And so it's good to know how many exec mistakes, recall mistakes you made, because you could see, like, was this bad memo or was this just me being an idiot? And one more mistake that I don't think I made here, but it's on the rarer side if you're experienced. Um, but actually probably could happen if you're less experienced, but it's a memo mistake. So this is something like you weak swapped incorrectly, or you uh broke somewhere and like did some wrong solution. And so that's anything that has to do with like actually memoing the cube, but not with remembering or executing the cube. So we're going to skip ahead to the next DNF. And it looks like it was this last one right here. Or no. Yeah, here. So this is the 2.10 last cube. I just didn't remember corners because the corner memo wasn't vivid enough. So I'm just gonna write forgot corners. Usually you won't remember memo because it's not vivid enough anyway, so I don't have to keep more details on that. Here, I don't remember if I ditched the cube. No, it seems like I actually remember what happened. Yeah, so that's good. Then, okay, so like this one, I'm sure here I did something kind of stupid. Something like using UL as my last target instead. So I'm going to clear the cube. It's this next one, I think. Make sure. So white, white, white. No, actually, it's this next one. So this is the cube I messed up. This one right here. See, there's white, orange, and let's say blue and UV. So this one's actually a memo mistake. I didn't weak swap properly, and it resulted in this uperm thing. So it's actually a good example. So CL, or sorry, this is now we're on to SG. That's 1.7 memo, and then that's just weak swap error. So much for being experienced, not experienced, right? So this is blue, blue. This, I think. So here I just messed up the order. So technically that's a recall mistake. I used to classify these differently, but as I get better with order, I don't care that much about whether, it's all a recall mistake anyway. So I'll write order like this. And sometimes I'll even write the pairs. So it was RFPB, and instead I did PBRF. Here's an exec mistake, another inverse com. I swear, guys, I don't make these I don't make these errors that often. It's just I don't know what's going on today. One thing is that often it's easier just to analyze all the DNFs and then do splits afterwards. So what I usually do, and what I did in this case, is I do the splits as long as there's no DNFs, and then once there's DNF, I don't go analyze all the DNFs, then I go back to do the splits. So I think the DNF is on this next cube, and that is SG 2.8. And yeah, I actually remembered this. I don't have to do the scramble because I know I just forgot corners. Honestly, this isn't the best attempt to show in terms of like quality of an attempt, but it's good for showing how I analyze my attempts, so that's why I'm using it. So I have two DNFs somewhere. I think I'm good. Yeah, I actually know exactly where I made the other one, so that's SG 1.4 or 3.4, sorry. And that I just forgot second loci of edges, and then the 9 is actually the next room, forgot everything. I don't know why that happened. I think it's just some sort of brain fart, but yeah, so basically there's like a couple categories. There are DNFs. There's ones where you pretty much after the attempt, you know exactly why you DNF'd it, and usually because you forgot something, or you like screwed up an alg really badly, and you just knew it was DNF right away. Those you don't have to go check the scramble. And then other ones, you'll check the scramble and you'll immediately see what you did wrong because you're thinking of your memo and you just see that obviously like you made a order mistake or something. And then the third type is when you check the scramble and you still don't know what the heck happened, and those are often mysteries, and so you'll have to go back and check the tape in that context. And so now I know that I have all the DNFs. I'm going to go check the splits again. And these you could do pretty quickly. So let me go here. And so what I aim to take out of this is like, am I hitting my goals for 10 packs? That's all I care about. Because, as you move up in cubes, you need your exec to compensate as well. You can't have your exec move up linearly. You need your exec to improve. And so I'm always looking at how I can improve exec. Okay, this is 50-52. I have to go back and check the first 10 pack split. And that's right here, 47-13. So we have that first 10 pack was pretty much right on pace. And then the next one lagged behind a bit. Now we're going to see these. I think these ones were okay. The long-term memo felt pretty strong. And I guess that's another thing. When you do this, you can, in the attempt, usually you have feelings about what's happening. Like, oh, that was really fast. That was really slow. And when you go back and check the tape, you can see if those feelings are confirmed or not. And so, yeah, that 10 pack that felt slow was slow, and usually will be the case. But sometimes something will feel slow and then it's actually fast, and you can move forward with that and think like, okay, like if that felt slow and it was fast, this is the pace that I need to go at. It's all about really just not guessing about what the heck's happening and just having like definitive proof. Here I typed in the wrong number. Okay, and then here will be the end of the attempt, so 61-35. And the formatting here gets a bit weird, but that doesn't really matter. So that concludes the analysis of the attempts and all the splits and everything. And what I'll do now is I'll go into my log that looks something like this. I already started filling out the column, but first of all, you have to write the date. You have to. Uh, time of day is important because you can start to see trends. Like if you do late night attempts, they might always be bad, and if you do like at a certain time, they may be good. And what's good about that is you can go check and see, if you have a comp coming up, like are the attempts at a time that um you usually perform well at, or is it a time they suck at? And so that can help you a bit. Here, this column here, I put a O if it's official, and then I'll write like some notes after the attempt. So what I'll write here maybe is like, okay, good 60 attempt, lots of exec errors. We'll probably do a lot better soon. And then I'll write maybe the key takeaways from the thing. So 10 packs getting better, getting better, but need to improve still. I'll write 10 pack MR. Exec sucks, but we'll improve with recall, the most strength. And yeah, okay. Can go a bit more chill on the last pass of 1 to 30. Usually my notes aren't that in depth. More it's just like how I was feeling or something like that, but I like to go back and read these, especially on good attempts. This is only my 2024 log, but let's say my old log, I'm not going to show it because it has a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it's nice to be able to go back and read that and see how are you feeling. And also, let's say you, like now I'm building back up to where I was before, you can go read, let's say about now I was at like 2 years ago, I was like in the 60s, and I can go see my splits and how it compares now. So it just, you want to keep track of any information. Here I write the code for the palace, or I guess the first sub palace I'm using, and then obviously put in the points. I have a formula to calculate points here, and it highlights green when it's like a sort of PB. This is like a reset PB in a way because this is 2024 PB. Surprisingly enough, this is still stuff from before. It shouldn't be there. But surprisingly enough, yeah, I don't really care about over the hour, under the hour, unless it's a comp setting or a couple days before a comp setting. So I'm perfectly fine writing the time here. This is adjusted for the stupid timer thing that happened. Same thing with the memo, exec normal. So here I wrote in formulas for just time per cube. It's just literally any information you can get down is usually good information. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go back to the analysis here. Did I copy it already? Copy it. I always put it in this tab, the time per cube. I go copy paste all of the splits, and it formats it fairly nicely. Now we're going to go back to back here, copy this one, or rather, if you just copy like this, I think it puts like weird quotes around it. So just copy that. Go in here, go in this note. I'm gonna paste this. And now we're almost good to go. We just have to write down how many different mistakes we made. So this is 1, 2, 2 exec mistakes, 1 memo mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 recall. So if I wasn't an idiot, basically the score minus this, or if you add this amount to the number of solved cubes, that's like the if I wasn't an idiot score. And so if I wasn't an idiot, it would be 54 out of 60, which is a pretty good result. And so that's another way you can judge the attempts. But that's all. One thing I've been doing recently is just to have a more schedule-based layout to these. I'll be writing down my results here just to see like how many attempts I'm doing in a week. Here I didn't do any because I was reviewing like T2C and doing smaller packs, but this is nice. I'll highlight it orange if it's official. If it's like a really bad attempt, I'll put it red, and if it's a good attempt, I'll put it in green. So actually this is a pretty good attempt. I will put this in green. you find the green, and I'll write down usually the next attempt I'll be doing tomorrow. I'll see if I can fit an attempt. Um, so I'll do another 60 tomorrow. And this is just a nice way to plan out uh, different things you're going to be doing. Right. So that's pretty much it in terms of actually analyzing attempts and getting as much out of it as possible. Uh, it's always good. Let's say this attempt, I want to compare this to my last attempt. So we see like the splits, and we can go compare it to these splits. My memo review 1 to 10s aren't getting that much better. As we see, like the 31 to 50 is getting better. So anyway, I'm not going to go in depth with all this, but it's very important to keep a log because you see where you're improving. You can see where you can improve, and all that stuff, as well as you just have like objective ways of measuring progress more than just points. Because at the end of the day, it's not just points, it's memo, it's how good you are. For example, take something like this attempt, this 33 out of 60. That's absolutely disastrous. But what was great is that I still got some pretty good memo out of it. I won't go and analyze the 27 DNFs because I know my brain just wasn't working properly. And I wasn't memoing things properly. But you see, my pace was good here. My review sucked, and it got worse towards the end. Every attempt will have some sort of useful information unless it is a complete catastrophe. And by that I mean like you start memoing and like you just give up after like 3 seconds. For example, like these two. Like these two were just huge disasters, so I didn't bother analyzing them. But everything always has useful information, and this is one way that just super useful to for improvement and all that stuff. So I highly suggest you follow not exactly the same process. You can use the same process if you want, but some sort of structured way of analyzing your attempts, so that you can keep track of what the hell's going on. Um, with that, that concludes the multi-blind analysis tutorial video. I think I'll try to make other tutorial videos similar to this, maybe about making palaces or hardware, stuff like that, because from what I see, there's not much information about this, and you either have to make up stuff yourself or really dig in videos to try to figure out what's going on. And I'd like it if that information is more available to other people. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. And if you know anybody that would find this helpful, just let them know, send it. And yeah, so see you guys.